I wish someone had told me when I started my healing journey nearly 15 years ago what healing really is, what it entails, and the truths about the process. Because when I started, I had all of these superficial ideas about what healing was because I was endeavoring to heal chronic conditions and, anxiety. And I tried all the run-of-the-mill stuff, all the diets, all of the supplements. I read the popular books and read about all the programs, and I read all the blogs, and that was my quote unquote healing process, changing my diet, changing my exercise routine, taking supplements, etc. Essentially like living in a way where I thought my external world or changes would then manifest as inner changes. So I was using external methods to try to heal what was really inner issues and inner traumas that had been unresolved for decades and that then were manifesting as physical chronic symptoms and conditions. And it took me a long time, years, in fact, to truly understand what healing means and what it entails. But when I did, it changed everything, and I stopped struggling to heal, and I began to heal joyfully and productively and easily, which is by definition what healing is meant to be. And so this episode, I'm going to share with you healing truths that I wish someone had told me at the beginning of my healing journey, at some point in the beginning of that journey. So I didn't waste all of that time and all of that energy and all of that money trying to heal myself by superficial quick fixes and utilizing biohacks and operating from limiting beliefs about healing that really inherently blocked my own ability to heal, and not only to heal, but to heal productively. I hope that as I give you this list of what I deem to be healing truths, that they resonate as you remembering your own truths, because that is the experience of an authentic healing journey. It is you remembering your truths, you remembering how powerful and lovable and whole and capable and magnificent you already are. And that the healing journey is not about fixing yourself because you're not broken. It's just about reclaiming yourself. Welcome to The Simple Source, your source for all things self-love, self-healing, personal growth, and spirituality. I'm your host, Linda Valines. I used to be chronically sick and unhappy. I spent years trying anything and everything to heal, but I never got better. It wasn't until my late husband was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer that I finally stopped searching for the answers outside of myself and turned within. I taught myself how to truly love and heal myself, how to finally be authentically healthy and happy, mind, body, and soul. I have over 10 years of personal and professional self-healing and teaching experience. I'm a trauma-informed, certified holistic health and wellness coach, certified Ayurveda counselor, and author. I healed myself of a lifetime of complex traumas and chronic conditions with joy and ease. Now I'm teaching you to do the same. So if you're ready to heal and love yourself more, mind, body, and soul, without all the struggle and stress, and with more joy and productivity, join me to liberate your highest, healthiest, and happiest self and learn how to thrive more simply. Let's get started with today's episode. So I'm going to start by just sort of listing some common healing myths that I certainly didn't challenge when I was at the beginning of my healing journey. Because of that, I needlessly suffered in my healing journey. So I did an episode about limiting beliefs and how they affect your healing journey. And this is just a little bit of that, but I do recommend going back to that episode if you haven't heard it, because it's really a game changer when you understand that what you believe about healing determines how you heal. And so a lot of people believe that healing is hard. I hear it every day, basically. And I cringe all the time when I hear it, because it's a myth. There's really no biological, physiological, neuroscientific reason for healing to be hard. It's just a trauma response. It's a trauma narrative that we really all as a collective need to begin to question, because it inhibits your ability to heal. When you believe healing is hard, that is inherently your reality then. And your brain will then facilitate that experience, because that's your belief. And that's how our brains work, is they reflect to us what we believe to be true. And so if that's the belief that you harbor and you never question it, you never challenge it, then that is going to be your reality. Also, people think that healing is complicated, that it requires a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of methodologies. People believe that healing is, again, all about diet, right? Your lifestyle. Are you eating clean? Are you taking the right supplements? Are you utilizing the right biohacks? People also believe that healing is like a linear process. In 90 days, I'm going to all of a sudden be the best version of myself after taking this supplement and, doing this one exercise. People also believe that healing is about talk therapy. Like that's sort of like a synonymous thing. Well, I need to heal, so I need to find a therapist. And sure, talk therapy is great. I've utilized it a lot, but that does not equate to healing. And those are just some of the common myths about healing that inevitably limit your healing experience, because those beliefs create resistance, because they're limiting beliefs by nature. They limit not only what your healing experience is, but it limits your belief in your own healing capability. Because if you believe that healing is going to happen in 90 days, and if it doesn't happen in 90 days, then that's going to be a big disappointment for you. If you believe that you can only heal when you work with a therapist, let's say you don't have money to afford a therapist, then you're like, well, I can't heal then. Do you see how those beliefs inherently limit not only your healing experience, but your own belief in your healing capabilities? That's why those sorts of myths create a lot of collective resistance, a lot of collective misunderstandings, and cause personal struggle and suffering in the healing process. It's because you're operating from these essentially trauma narratives and also societal norms that don't facilitate genuine healing. They've just been unquestioned. And it's time for us to question if the norms and the standards that are perpetuated about healing actually facilitate joyful and authentic healing. Because I say this a lot, but people don't get this. Go look it up in the dictionary. The definition of healing is a reclamation of freedom, of well-being, of wholeness. That's the definition of healing. Healing is not defined by struggling. Healing is not defined by stressing. Healing is not defined by spending a lot of money and having privileges and being connected. Like none of that defines healing. In fact, struggling and suffering are by definition the very opposite of what healing is. They're opposing forces. So that's why they inhibit healing. So that's why if you think healing is hard, then you're going to struggle on your healing journey, and then you're not going to heal. That's what I realized. That was one of the big aha moments that I had when my late husband was diagnosed with late stage cancer, and I had, a come to everything moment, because his prognosis was 2 years, and I was chronically sick and unhappy, for a very long time, and had been on a healing journey for years and wasn't healing. And I was like, I can't be unhealthy and unhappy like during the last 2 years with my husband. I just refuse for that to be my reality. And so I dove into myself in a real authentic way for the first time and really started asking myself, why am I not healing? I'm doing everything right on the surface, right? I've done all the diets, I've taken all the supplements, I've read all the books. So why have I not healed? And I realized as I was becoming certified as a health coach, because healing and health and well-being had become more than a personal endeavor. They had become passions and obsessions of mine. And educating myself and becoming professionally informed about healing, I learned about the mind-body connection. And in learning about how the mind and the body are inherently connected, I realized that stress in that connection, that two-way signal, is a tremendous factor in our ability to heal. And I also realized, gosh, that's like how I literally approach everything in my life is in a very stressful way. I approach my healing journey in a stressful way because it's very rigid. I have all these strict rules that I have to follow because of these extremely restrictive diets and these protocols. And because of all my unresolved traumas, I had to be in control of everything. And I was relating to myself in a very stressful way. Everything was stressful. And when I learned, gosh, our brains and our bodies and our nervous systems literally cannot heal when we are operating in a chronic state of stress, I went, oh, that's pretty straightforward. I get that. Okay, so let me just make a really conscious choice and stop stressing so much. People think that, saying that, well, it's probably easy to say that. It is easy to say that. And it's also easy to make that choice. Now, again, so many people have this belief like healing is really hard. Changing your mindset is really hard. And like literally everything in your life is hard. I just hear it all day long. That's really hard. Relationships are hard. Like doing what you want in life is hard. Achieving your dreams is hard. This is hard. That is hard. And I just tune it out because that's not the reality that I want to operate in. That's not the reality I choose for myself. You have to start questioning how you label your life. And if you believe like 90% of your life is hard, then 90% of your life is going to be hard. That's just how your reality is going to manifest because that's just how our brains and reality work. When I realized, okay, I can make the choice to stop stressing and become conscious and become self-aware and just make that choice over and over and over again. And that meant every single moment of every single day where I was like, oh, I'm reacting to this in a very tense way. And oh, I'm responding to this in a very tense way. I'm relating to myself in a very tense and stressful way. I'm going to not do that. I'm going to try to be more self-loving, try to be more compassionate, try to be more relaxed. And, that was the start of the complete 180 that resulted in spontaneous healing while my husband was dying, so that when he passed, I was healthy and happy. So that's the power of how one simple choice can transform your life, okay? Because I became aware of a simple truth about healing, that stress equates to a lack of healing. I actually did a whole episode about this, which I highly recommend you go listen to, about how chronically activated stress responses or a dysregulated nervous system like prevents your ability to heal. And so if you're chronically stressed, like you can't heal. It's really simple. So when I understood that, I was like, okay, it is simple. So I just got to stress less. And I'm simplifying my own healing process here because I want to get into the truths, but I just want to illuminate for you how embodying that truth, accepting that truth and going, okay, you know what? I'm going to live that truth. Instead of all of this other complicated stuff, the rigidity and the timelines and, multitasking this thing with the diet thing, with the supplement thing, I'm just going to focus on this simple truth that I have learned that is true biologically, physiologically, from a neuroscientific perspective. Like we can't stress and heal at the same time. And just living with that truth and allowing that truth to be my guiding light in my healing journey changed it completely. As someone who's been on a healing journey for nearly 15 years now, and I've amassed personally and professionally a broad scope of expertise in holistic healing. I want to share with you all the things that I've learned that I wish someone told me at the beginning of my healing journey so that you don't fall into the same traps and the unproductive cycles and remain constrained by limiting beliefs that most people simply don't challenge about healing. So let's start with the foundation. This is something that nobody talks about except for me, because I view healing in a very systemic and also holistic way. And so I see that it's just like anything that you want to do in life. You have to build the skills to get good at healing, essentially. If you want to play the piano, you don't start playing Mozart. You have to learn the scales. So it's the same thing with healing. You have to build a foundation for productive healing in order to heal productively. It makes the most sense. That means developing skills of self-awareness, self-love, mindfulness, establishing a healing mindset, because all of that is foundational to your experience in your own healing process. If you're not rooted in unconditional self-love, if you're not rooted in how to self-regulate, self-validate, if you're not rooted in a healthy relationship with yourself where you know yourself, you don't have a healthy or strong foundation to heal. You just don't. Anything without a foundation is going to eventually crumble. And so that's why the healing process, if you don't have those foundational skills of self-love, self-regulation, self-validation, self-knowing, self-trust, self-awareness, your healing journey will eventually collapse. And that will manifest as you perhaps maybe feeling enthusiastic about it in the beginning, but then all of that energy teeters out, after a few months. And then it's just like, whatever, I gave it a shot. Or it's a back and forth resistant cycle where you try to force yourself to quote unquote heal, but you don't really enjoy it. It takes a lot of energy. It feels really arduous. It's very challenging. You don't experience a lot of breakthroughs. It's because that foundation isn't there, and you're trying to build something without a foundation. And of course, that's gonna be a challenge. What you're doing on a healing journey is you're building health, you're building happiness, you're building a life. And so, of course, that needs a foundation. And of course, that needs structure. People don't talk about this. And this is, again, one of the signature things that I teach. But structure is really key. A lot of people kind of improvise on their healing journey. Well, yeah, I read this book, so I'll do this book and then we'll see what happens, right? And then, I saw this video on TikTok and, that's interesting. Yeah, let me try all these lymphatic draining massage, whatever it is. And there's no rhyme or reason. It's just, I'll take the whole lot, right? And multitask this and give that a shot for a few days and then move on. And there's no structure to your process. And so that actually doesn't serve your mind and your body and your nervous system if you're really trying to heal. Structure helps your mind and your body and your nervous system feel safe. And this is something that I took away from my Ayurvedic training and experience is routines, right? Nature operates in cycles and routines inherently for a reason. There's a rhythm to life for a reason. Circadian rhythms are being researched and being proven to be so foundational to our health and our happiness. That rhythm is so central to life. So if you're on your healing journey and there's no structure, there's no system to what you're doing, it's going to be more of a challenge for your brain and your body and your nervous system to feel safe. And that's key for healing. That's number one priority to optimize, let's go back to even activate your self-healing capabilities. You have to create that inner environment of safety. And so structure does that inherently. I talked about this a little bit before, but all of this, what I'm describing is a healing mindset of going, this is a new way of thinking about healing. This is a new way for me to approach my healing process as opposed to a limited mindset or a fixed mindset where those beliefs that I gave examples of in the beginning, you don't question those. Those are inherently antagonistic to healing, right? Because they oppose your ability to heal joyfully and productively. And so this means that you have to foster a healing mindset, a mindset where you adopt beliefs, you adopt attitudes, you adopt structures of thinking, of perceiving your healing journey and your process in a way that is productive. Let's talk about the actual process of healing. So, because that was the foundation, right? A lot of people just miss that completely. They don't learn how to love themselves. They don't learn how to trust themselves. They don't learn how to self-regulate, self-validate. They don't even know who they are. And they just dive deep into the really heavy shit, inner child work, or they just focus on the diet. And it's just, you don't really get anywhere, right? And then the healing process is not a process, but it's just chaotic and you experience more suffering, and none of that is necessary for healing because you're not really healing. You're just perpetuating your trauma responses. You're just continuing to live in cyclical manifestations of your wounding. So let's talk about the healing process. Like I said before, that mindset is so key, right? Adopting expanded beliefs and attitudes and perceptions and systems and structures that secure your healing journey and process in a safe and stable manner. That's so key. So then that allows you to heal yourself with empowerment. That allows you to heal yourself with guidance, with direction, with clarity, with inner security and safety, because you have that foundation. Because you cannot heal yourself if you do not know yourself. People don't get that. It's like, it's great, eating well is great. I'm not saying that a diet doesn't matter. Of course, what you put into your body matters. Of course, exercise and movement matters. But that's not the inner work, friend. And if you understand your nervous system, you understand that it's your inner senses, meaning it's your emotions and your beliefs that actually have primacy in terms of what signals to your nervous system whether or not you're safe or unsafe. It's not like the organic kale you're eating at lunch, okay? It's your emotions. And so that's why the inner work, that foundation that I described, I didn't mention anything about biohacks in it, did I? No, I said self-love, self-regulation, self-validation. That's the foundation, because all of that allows you to feel safe and secure within yourself. When you feel safe and secure in yourself, you then have a safe and secure healing journey. And then you feel safe getting to know yourself and moving into the more uncomfortable and heavier aspects of the healing journey. And this is where emotional health comes in. And yeah, sometimes people talk about this, but I don't think it's emphasized enough. Like we just can't heal until we feel. And so many people have unhealthy relationships with their emotions, like holistically. I also did a whole podcast episode on this. So go back to that one. Highly recommend. Emotional health is a combination of emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, and just your relationship with your emotions. If you're judging your emotions, if you're labeling your emotions, if you know as an adult that when you were growing up, you were raised in an environment where your emotions, your emotional expressions were criticized, or you didn't feel safe in your emotions, like those are all keys, because that manifests as you as an adult inhibiting your emotional expression, being uncomfortable with your emotions. And so you'll deny your emotions. You'll be scared of your emotions. And again, we can't heal unless we feel, because those suppressed, repressed, trapped, denied, avoided emotions are keeping your nervous system in a dysregulated state, okay? Just because you don't want to think about an emotion or just because you suppress it does not mean that it just vanishes. So I explain all this in that podcast episode, so I highly recommend that you listen to that. And this takes me to spiritual bypassing, which I feel pretty passionate about because I'm just seeing it more and more. As I think collectively we're all becoming more spiritual, which I'm here for it. Let's go there. But it also lends itself to spiritual bypassing. And I did this too in the beginning of my spiritual journey a little bit, and in the beginning of my healing journey, living in the love and the light and affirmations. And I'm not saying that people haven't achieved great things or affirmations don't serve a purpose, but for, 99.99% of the population, affirmations are not going to heal you. They serve a purpose for your conscious mind, and you have to say them over and over and over and over again ad nauseum for them to penetrate your subconscious mind. And then that means they'll penetrate your nervous system and your body and actually cause a manifestation of actual physical results in your body, in your reality. It's not a productive way to heal, saying something over and over and over again. Just go straight to your subconscious. Anyways, that's not what this is about. But let's go back to the spiritual bypassing. It's because, so many people are intimidated by their emotions, and I don't want to feel my anxiety. I don't want to feel my negative emotions, because that means I'm going to manifest negative experiences. And that's there's really no truth in that, because fundamentally, again, what you're doing is thinking that just because you're ignoring your emotions, they're just going to go away, or you just envision your emotions, your negative emotions, your trauma being washed down the drain in the shower. I mean, energetically, that serves a purpose, but if you're not like a high level master energy worker, there are limitations to that. It's not really healing your trauma, and it's not healing you in a holistic way. It's just spiritual bypassing. You can't bypass your fears and heal. And so, you really have to develop that emotional health. I'm a highly spiritual person. Magic is like a joyful part of my everyday experience. And I feel all of my emotions. I practice emotional release basically every day, where I just cry my fucking eyes out because I was not allowed to do that as a child. And so I still have decades of suppressed emotions that need to be released. And so I'm going to give those emotions space to be felt and released. And that doesn't affect my spiritual health. It doesn't disconnect me from my love or my light. In fact, it liberates me because my nervous system, my physical body isn't hindered by that nervous system dysregulation, by that stuck energy. That's a huge important truth. Embrace all of your emotions, feel all of your emotions. Like, don't hide from your traumas. Develop a loving, compassionate, curious relationship with those parts of yourself, because that's actually what needs healing. And another thing, kind of on the tail of that, is that you have to be in a regulated or relaxed state in order to heal. And that's just physiologically what your brain and your body and your nervous system need to activate healing mode. But that doesn't mean that you're supposed to be like Zen all the time, totally unaffected. That's not what relaxation and self-regulation mean. It just means that you are able to respond to the stresses in your life, to the emotions that come up in a regulated and relaxed way, meaning you're not relating to them with tension, right? Aggression, avoidance, judgment, self-shaming. Instead, you're accepting, embracing, curious, right? Instead of judging and being afraid. That's a huge key piece of healing. Another truth is that healing is a layered process. And I think that people, they may understand that, but the more that you invest in your healing journey, the more that you understand that the more that you heal, the more access that you have to what needs to be healed. Because that's how your subconscious mind works. It's always trying to keep you safe. So the more that you consistently express and embody safety to your brain, to your body, to your nervous system, the more access you're going to have to the deeper layers of healing. That's what I mean when healing is layered. So the more that you develop that safe and that secure and that healthy relationship with yourself, with your emotions, and you start to habituate healing in an authentic way, meaning you're relating to yourself in an authentic way, you're going to gain access to those deeper layers of yourself, because you're going to be telling your subconscious mind over and over again, I'm safe in myself. I'm safe in my emotions. I love myself. And you start to unlock more and more pieces and layers of your healing journey and process. And then it will become more and more productive. And part of that process is doing inner child work. And I don't think that inner child work is an option. I think it's a necessity. I think everybody needs to do inner child work. Your inner child is the key to your core subconscious programming that runs your life. So, you have to understand that when you heal your past, you're really healing your present and also your future, because all of that subconscious programming that your inner child holds the key to is like literally the key to your current reality. And so those are layers of healing that you learn to embrace and love and cherish the more that you embrace that healing is essentially just a healing of your relationship with yourself. And so that brings me to shadow work. And I don't think shadow work is spoken about as much as it needs to be in the healing process, because you can't heal what you don't love about yourself. If there's a part of you that you reject, that you do not accept, that you deem ugly and bad, inherently that part of yourself is blocked off from your healing. You have to embrace, acknowledge, validate, honor, love all the parts of yourself. That's shadow work. Every single aspect of yourself deserves your attention and deserves to be a part of your healing journey, and it's also understanding that every single aspect of humanity, it resides in every single human. That's part of being human. It requires profound radical self-acceptance and radical self-love that then translates into greater compassion and love for everyone else in the world, for humanity. This takes me to my next point, which is that inner healing begets outer healing, meaning when you heal yourself, when you do the inner healing work, your external world heals itself as well. And it's an effortless, dynamic, and intrinsic process because our outer world is just a reflection of our inner world, as within, so without. And it's not the other way around. It's not like our inner world is a reflection of our outer world. That's a very disempowered narrative that's not rooted in your fundamental truth, which is you are a powerful fucking being of creation. And it's your consciousness, it's your soul, and it's your inner reality that is being manifest as your outer reality. And so the more that you heal yourself, the more that you invest in your inner work and inner evolution and inner growth, meaning loving yourself, knowing yourself, regulating yourself, transforming those inner wounded narratives into self-empowered, self-loving narratives, healing your traumas, loving your emotions, all of that inner work is going to naturally change your outer world. You're not going to have to work on that part. That's the key that most people don't understand. It's like the amount of effort it's going to take for you to change your outer world, whether it's because you can't change another person. You know what I mean? Like the only thing we can really control is ourselves, right? And like you can't make someone else change. You can't make, your company like hire this person and that person and like change its whole operation thing. You can't go and make the government give you like 20% of your taxes back. That's like really beyond your control. What you can control is your reality, your relationship with yourself, what's going on inside of you. When you do that, your outer world is going to inherently change because your beliefs are going to change, because the way that you're relating with yourself is going to change. And that in turn changes the way that you relate to other people. And that's the power of healing. Most people don't understand that. Your relationship with yourself is the foundation for every single relationship that you have in life. So when you heal yourself first, you're going to naturally heal the other relationships in your life. Also, the last thing I want to share is that you don't need to heal. You don't need to do everything perfectly in order to heal. That was a message that I really needed to hear that in the beginning of my healing journey. But, you don't need to be perfect to heal. First of all, you're perfect as you are because you're whole as you are. You don't need to strive to be perfect because you're already perfect. You got that. That's solid. You good on that. So striving for perfection is such a stressful, trauma response, wounded way to relate to your healing journey and to yourself. And again, stress turns off your self-healing capabilities, and it also inhibits you from enjoying your healing process. And again, what healing is by definition, it's a reclamation of your freedom, your wholeness, your well-being. Those are joyful experiences. So healing is by definition joyful. The more consistent you are in adopting these truths and embracing these truths, the more productive your healing is going to be, because these are really truly the keys. What I'm giving to you guys are fundamental keys about healing that are just not discussed enough, but really make a massive difference in the healing experience and process. Because I've been on a healing journey for over a decade, and you don't need to stress to heal. In fact, you can't heal when you're stressing. And actually, okay, so here's another thing that I want to give you. Here's another pro tip. Integration is really key. So a lot of people don't do that either. So integration is essentially when you allow new information, new practices, new ways of being, of thinking, of existing to settle, to integrate into your mind, your body, your nervous system, so that there's a new calibration of self. And in order to do that, you have to rest. Okay. Like you can't just keep going and going and going. Like your brain doesn't learn that way. Your nervous system doesn't learn that way. It learns by periods of acute stress, then rest. Periods of acute stress, then rest. And that rest period is when your nervous system, your brain get to recalibrate, get to go, oh, okay, let's make the connections, let's settle this in. So you have to integrate. And when I say rest, it's not like doing nothing. Sometimes that is what's required. Your body sometimes just really needs to rest in order to integrate. But oftentimes too, it's like putting into practice what you've learned, right? Being consistent with new information, because reading a book is not going to heal you. You have to integrate that knowledge into your daily life in order for that to make a healing difference. And so integration is really huge and key. So lastly, I just want to say, I keep saying lastly, there's one more thing. Healing is what you make it, all right? Your healing journey is so unique to you. It's so special to you. And, you can't follow someone else's version of healthy and happy and get to your version of healthy and happy. And you have to know that. And I that was something that I wish someone had told me and made clear to me, like, you're the key to your own health and happiness. It all resides in you. All of it is within you. And all of it resides in you right now. You have everything that you need to be healthy and happy right now within you. You're only limited by what you believe you are limited by. And there will be seasons of productivity. There will be seasons of rest. And all of that is unique to you and your own process and your journey. Trust that any time that you make progress and then you end up digressing, that's also part of the process. Everybody says it, but healing is not linear. And that's what that means. It's like you're going to take 4 steps forward and then probably 2 steps back, and then 6 steps forward and maybe 3 steps back. And that's because you have to master the lessons that you've learned in order to up level again. You got to embrace that journey, right? And know that in that process, even though I hope you have support, even though I hope you have guidance because you deserve it, you can't heal for anyone other than yourself. And that's the real key. That's the real empowerment, is knowing, hey, I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing it for my mom. I'm not doing it for my children. I'm not doing it for my partner. I'm healing for myself, to love myself, to know myself, to be empowered in myself, to realize my full potential, to become embodied in my highest truths. And when you embrace this and hopefully embrace everything that I've shared with you in this episode, healing is going to be so different. It's going to become far, far more simple. And you experience how when you focus on really healing your relationship with yourself, which is really what the foundation of healing is. It's because your reality is just a mirror to who you are, and you give yourself permission to simplify and stop stressing so much and to focus on those key truths that I've shared throughout this episode, and give yourself permission to enjoy it, to have fun, to feel well, to feel whole, to feel free, because that is, again, what healing is by definition. You're going to heal exponentially. It's going to be a completely different process that stops becoming a struggle and starts to become joyful. So here's your action step for the week. I invite you to do a healing audit, which is just a simple reflection to align yourself with the healing truths that we've explored today. So I want you to ask yourself and then answer truthfully these questions. So the first one is, what is one area where I can strengthen my self-love to create a stronger foundation for more self-loving healing? And where am I resisting my healing right now? Where am I avoiding my emotions or spiritual bypassing or trying to force my healing? And the last question is, what is one simple, consistent practice that I can commit to this week that's going to help my brain, my body, my nervous system feel safe? So if you ask yourself and answer those questions and then live the answers to those questions, meaning don't journal about them and forget about them, like really allow them to penetrate your day to day, you're going to experience positive healing shifts. So Lastly, just remember, again, like I said, healing doesn't require perfection. It requires your presence. It requires your consistency and self-compassion and curiosity and simplicity and your ability to turn within and see all parts of yourself with love and care. And that's fundamentally what's most important, is your ability to love yourself so that you can heal yourself. Thank you so much for joining me today in The Simple Source. I hope this episode has inspired you, reminded you of your healing power, and reawakened you to who your true and highest self is. If the show has empowered and enlightened your self-love, growth, and healing journey, please share this episode, leave a positive review on Apple or Spotify, and subscribe to be reminded of new episodes. I am so grateful for your presence, and all of your comments and your support are seen and read and deeply appreciated. They really do help this show so much. Also, sign up for my newsletter, The Weekly Source, to get more healing tips, motivation stories, and to get to know me better. And if you haven't read my book, Unconditional, You Are Perfect As You Are, I invite you to get your copy today and start reading. And lastly, I would love to see you inside my Source membership, the only holistic and comprehensive step-by-step self-healing program that is proven to work. It's time to stop struggling to heal and time to learn how to thrive more simply and joyfully. All the links are in the show notes. Thanks again for joining me today, and I will see you next time.